Welcome to Spotlight ETSU. I'm your host, Carrie Oliveira. Today we'll be speaking with Anita DeAngelis about her work in advancing the arts at ETSU. Anita is the director of the Mary B. Martin School of the Arts and has been involved in the school's many activities and events since its opening in 2009. Thank you for joining us, Anita.
Thank you so much, Carrie. I'm pleased to be here this morning.
I'm so glad that you're here. I was just talking to, we've been doing a lot of stuff in the Department of Communication dealing with the designing of a logo, and I've had occasion to talk to artists recently, and I find that they have a very different perspective on the world than I do as a social scientist. So I'm really excited to be able to talk to you today.
Thank you.
We're going to start by talking about you. You
Sure.
are a tremendously interesting person, and you've been, so just tell me about how long you've been at ETSU and where you got your degrees and what your particular artistic expertise is in.
Sure. I came to ETSU in 1994, and I moved here from Fargo, North Dakota, where I've been teaching for 2 years. It wasn't a long-term gig.
Is it as snowy there as
It's really cold. It is not as snowy as one might think, but it's very cold.
So cold for nothing then.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
yes.
So
but I went to the University of Texas at Austin for my undergraduate degree, and for my MFA degree, I went to Arizona State University. So I went from the southwest warm desert to the bad north, but it was a wonderful experience.
Those are good communication programs, by the way. Those two schools have very good communication programs.
Yes, they do.
And so you have, all of your education is in art.
Yes, it's all in art. And
you draw.
I draw, and I'm a printmaker, and I also make artist books. So
that is so fascinating. You can't call it bookmaking.
No, I can't call it bookmaking. I call it artist books because people get the wrong idea.
And so when you make a book as an artist, is that a different sort of a thing than making a book as a printer, like as a publisher?
Well, as a publisher, yes, it is. It is very different. You know, an artist doesn't have all the rules that a publisher would have.
True, artistic license, I guess.
Exactly, exactly. And you know, we can do a lot of things with a book that, if you're publishing a book, it's very different because you're publishing hundreds or thousands of books. And most of the time, or many times with an artist book, you're only making one. Sometimes you'll make small editions, but usually we're just making one. And then the other thing that we do is we really get into fine binding, which means that you study binding styles from all over the world.
Like how pages get stitched together.
How they get stitched together. And some of the sewing techniques go back to the Middle Ages, and even some before then.
That's really neat.
So it's really kind of interesting because you learn a little bit of culture and craft
history.
And history.
I think that's what I think is really lovely about like studying art as a discipline, is that not only do you learn like the technical skill of whatever it is that you're into, but also the sort of the historical background around all of it.
Right, that historical background gives an artist the context for where something came from. And it's really an important facet of what we do.
I can only imagine. Very anthropologically interesting.
Yes.
I feel like there's no way not to learn about human beings. It's a very human experience.
It is a very human experience.
I've learned recently, like the whole purpose of art, I've learned recently, is to evoke some emotional response.
Right.
You have a moment, like with the artist and the art. And I'm like,
right.
Oh, that is very cool.
And I think one of the things that's so important about the arts is the arts help us to express and to understand things that are otherwise incredibly difficult for us to understand.
Yes.
But when you're in the moment with an artist or an artwork, you really do get a different experience. And I think that's what's so important to all of us.
That is so exciting. So how is it that you came to ETSU then?
Well, I knew that the position that I was in, I taught at Concordia College in Moorhead, Minnesota, which is across the river from Fargo.
Yeah.
And it's a fabulous school, but it's a very small private school. Most of my family lives in Virginia and Maryland. So, you know, being a little bit closer to family was a factor for me. And I also wanted to be at a program where I could expand my skill set. At Concordia, it's an excellent school, but it didn't have a graduate program.
Yes.
The art department was very small. So, you know, wanting to expand my own skill set was an important part of my decision to move away. So.
And has ETSU provided that opportunity for you?
Oh, absolutely. My skill set has completely changed in the last few years.
You spent a lot of time moving out of the classroom and into administrative positions. So you're now the director of the Mary B. Martin School of the Arts.
That's
when I first interviewed here, I spoke to you as part of my interview 5.5 years ago, and even then you were in administration.
Right.
And so how is it that you transitioned out of teaching into was that part of your career plan?
Well, it wasn't always part of my career plan. However, my father was a university administrator, so I came from a family where I saw that model. I grew up with that model.
Was not unfamiliar at all.
Yeah, it was very familiar. However, he was in the sciences and, you know, I'm in the arts, so it was a very different experience for me. But originally when I moved into administration, I was actually dealing with curriculum issues for the College of Arts and Sciences. And one of the reasons why I think I was prepared for that position was because when I came to the art department, we were in the middle of changing our curriculum. And I worked extensively with submitting curriculum proposals. And
yes, which I have some experience with. That is an arduous process.
It's quite a process.
Yes.
Quite a process. So, you know, I was familiar with that process. So I went into the dean's office, and then Gordon Anderson was hired, and he's a chemist.
Yes.
And so he frequently came to me to ask me questions about the arts areas. We are, you know, kind of a little bit of a different group.
A little bit of a different group, yes.
And eventually my responsibilities were moving more and more towards the arts. So
to sort of really represent the arts at the college level.
Right, at the college level. And then an opportunity came up to develop some new programs for ETSU. So the Mary B. Martin School of the Arts was launched.
Born.
Yeah.
That's and you know, as being a faculty member personally in arts and sciences, I arrived on this campus in 2007. So I was here for the transition from, you know, the art department, strictly speaking, to an entire school of the arts.
Right.
And so for, you know, we're talking our shows for, you know, students or whatever else who may or may not have noticed that suddenly we have a school of the arts. And so how did that come to be, and what was the motivation for that?
Right,
and
right.
what does that mean for us to be a school of the arts as opposed to just a department?
It's kind of an odd situation because the School of the Arts is part of the Dean's Office of the College of Arts and Sciences.
Right.
Yet we serve as an umbrella for the arts, not only within the College of Arts and Sciences, but all across campus. And what had happened is we had several committees and several conversations with community groups where people didn't really know what was going on in the arts, and I'm talking music, theater, dance,
right. And we have a very
visual
artistic
arts.
campus,
We
unusually
do.
so, with the storytelling and the bluegrass music and all of that. So
Absolutely.
Yes.
But people found it really difficult to know about us.
Right.
So we really wanted some kind of structure that would help unite the arts and do some things to help highlight the arts.
Yes.
Now, it's great to come up with this idea, but implementing it was difficult without a budget.
And very expensive.
And very expensive. We also wanted to provide additional arts activities, not only for the students that are in the arts, but for students across campus and people in the community. So the arts bring together people for different reasons, arts events in particular. But again, we didn't have a funding mechanism. And then a man here in Johnson City, Jim Martin, came out of nowhere and approached the university. He wanted to name something for his wife, who had departed. She passed away in April of 2008. And he wanted to name something in memory of her. And I was called into a meeting with him. We proposed the idea to him, and he liked it. So within a very short period of time after meeting with him,
suddenly there was a budget.
He donated a substantial amount of money to ETSU, and we have an endowed account, so that account is, you know, there permanently. And we'll be able to offer arts events long into the future.
And and you know, in describing what kind of art that you're interested in presenting, I've been looking recently at you've since the school was formed. I noticed that you've done a very diligent job of creating promotional material. You have your little flyers, and I don't know if they come out semesterly or annually.
Each semester.
Each semester. So detailing the events that are going to go on for that season, and the range of things that are available for people to enjoy, from sculpture to writing to music to everything. And so what I love is this sort of convergence of a variety of media, I guess. Is that the appropriate word?
And you know, starting a brand new arts program on campus, we wanted to represent all of the arts and not just one or two things, and trying to find our place in a very active community to begin with has been an adventure. We've learned some things. We've had fantastic experiences. I can't think of an artist that we've brought in that we didn't enjoy.
Oh.
I mean, everybody has been remarkable. And I think the benefits when an artist comes in and can spend time in a classroom with a student. I remember a very memorable experience right in this room where actor Anthony Zerbe did a workshop with students, and when we walked away, it was one of those moments where I had chills. You know, it was such an incredible experience.
And I think that's one of the really cool things I think that I've noticed anyway in your promotional materials is you're trying to bring artists into the university and not just, I mean, part of the important part is showcasing what we're doing on the campus.
Right.
But also there seems to be a very strong focus of the university interacting with the larger community, which is very artistic around, and Appalachia in general is very artistic. And so to have that convergence. So what kind of, are there specific programs that are specifically designed to bring community members into the university? Do they visit at all with us?
Well, we have been trying to do some things to, you know, we're not always successful, and we can't always make the arrangements we'd like to with the artists because they have tight schedules as well. Yeah. But we try to sometimes get artists out into the community. I'm hoping that in the next couple of years we'll be able to build that part of our mission. Now, the programs in the arts, I have to say the music department is incredible about getting people out in the community to work with school children or to work with a high school band or whatever. The bluegrass program as well is always volunteering out in the community and performing. Theater goes out into the community quite often as well. So, I mean, that's one of the great things about the arts is that we serve as ambassadors for the university. Yes. Yeah, we really do.
Are we finding that because of the improved and increased focus on getting our own faculty and our programs out into the community, is that reaping specific benefits for the university? Have you found?
Well, you know, it's a little hard to tell right now because we're so early on, but we're hoping that in the long run it'll help with recruitment, and not just recruitment for students in the arts, but when you have an active, intellectually engaged community, it has a tendency to bring in students in other disciplines as well. Yes. So, and we hope that through some of our programming, we'll be able to encourage additional faculty recruitment. Right. You know, businesses in the community, if there's an active art community, that businesses often see some different things happening. Right. So I just see it as an important part for the whole community to embrace the arts and to help us move forward a little bit more.
Are you finding a challenge in having the community embrace the arts, what with there being so much cuts in funding, so many cuts in funding at the public school level for, you know, elementary and high schoolers? We have X amount of dollars and, well, something's got to go. We're going to get rid of gym and music.
Yes.
And so is it difficult to entice people into studying the arts as a formal discipline?
Well, it is a little bit, but I also think that, you know, people deal with the analytical part of the brain. Now I'm sounding like Jen Martin because this is the kind of thing he talks about. People deal with the intellectual side of their brain, but they also deal with the creative part of who we are as well. Yes. And I think artists, you know, there's going to be a part of our culture or a part of our society that's more geared towards the creative side. Yes. Now what's great is when you can get the two sides together and find out where those intersections are. Yes. And some of our programming we're trying to work with artists that address those intersections.
Which I would find fascinating because I'm not a particularly artistic person as a very, what is it, the left or the right brain, I'm not sure which is the analytical part, but that's the part of my brain that works better. And so I have a hard time finding myself purposefully wanting to engage with art. And I would be fascinated to find out what kind of programming you'd be interested in doing that's, you know, bridging that gap between the analysis of the human experience with the creative part of the human experience.
Right, right. Well, one of the programs we had this spring, we worked with the College of Public Health. You know, Randy Wyckoff, the dean there, is a remarkable person, and he really understands how the arts help us as complete whole individuals. Right. And so he has worked on a project that's called An Evening of Health, Wellness, and the Arts. And this year, in January, was the second year of that event. And he came to me and asked me to work with him on it. So we brought in a magician named Kevin Spencer. And Kevin did a program where he used his magic, but Kevin also has a program that's called The Healing of Magic and another one that's called Hocus Focus, where he teaches people how to use magic as a therapeutic tool.
Ah,
so
that's really cool.
I know. So that's a great example of
Yes.
an artist who's really merging the two, and helping people to communicate on a different level,
Yes.
or helping people to regain hand skills that they may have lost because of a stroke or an accident. So it is kind of remarkable to see artists working in that direction.
I think that's incredibly cool for so many reasons, but that there's a practical applicability for engaging in the arts that's not just, trying to be an artist.
Right,
and
right.
I think that is such a neat thing.
Right.
And not to mention convergence across departments on campus. Anytime anybody in public health or the health professions like to mingle with the artists, folks, I think that's just a good idea.
It's a very good idea. It's a very good idea.
Very good idea. I had occasion a couple semesters back to teach in the Ball Hall Auditorium. And I had been on this campus for about 2.5 years by this point, and it didn't occur to me that there was an art gallery right there on the ground floor in the art building. And so the Slocum Gallery is there. And at the time that I was paying particular attention to the exhibits, it was student work that was being presented. Is it always student work that gets presented in the Slocum Galleries?
No, it's not always student work, although exhibiting student work is an important part of the function of the Slocum Galleries, and it's an important part of the art department's curriculum and degree program. Right now, for example, the Positive Negative exhibition is up, and that's a national juried exhibition, so we've got artists from all over the country exhibiting in that show. That exhibition was begun by Wayne Dyer back in the 1980s, I believe. So it's
a long-running exhibit.
It's a long-running exhibit, absolutely. And then we have other exhibitions. This spring semester, I co-sponsored with the Slocum Galleries the Society of Illustrators 53 exhibition. So their 53rd members exhibition was in here. So we bring in a variety of things. And we do it for a number of reasons. One, it's fun for us to see the artwork.
Yes.
But it also has great impact on the students as well.
I know that I had a student once who, her exhibit, I don't know if it's hard to forget. It was the Dead Bunnies sculpture exhibit.
Yeah, I remember that one.
So you walk into the Slocum Gallery, and when you walk into the front of the building, the entire right side was full of like these beautiful, beautiful dead, decapitated bunny corpses that she had sculpted out of, I have no idea what, and they're just strewn about the room. And I stood in that room and I marveled for a good 15, 20 minutes at the intricacy of every single thing. And I thought, this is so cool. I'm having an opportunity to celebrate the work of a student who's done this. And I imagine it's part of, like, they get really excited. I can only imagine when they're presenting their, is it senior projects largely they get presented?
The graduating BFA students in our programs, they're all required to have an exhibition. So, and they have an individual exhibition, and there's a lot more to it than, I'm going to go over here and make some artwork and then show up and put it in a gallery. They have to edit a lot of work. They've put in several years worth of effort to get to those exhibitions.
You have to think about the exhibition in the big picture, not just the single piece of art that you might be working on in a moment.
Yes, it's a difficult task for students. And when I was a student, we didn't do individual exhibitions. So it wasn't until much later in my career as an artist that I started looking at solo exhibitions. Now we would do group, and sometimes have 1 or 2 pieces in an exhibition. But to put a whole exhibition together by yourself.
Unbelievable.
It's a lot of pressure on our students, a lot of pressure.
How do they take it?
They're excited, they're nervous.
Utterly terrified.
I'm sure they must go through every emotion imaginable. And then it's kind of funny to talk to them after the show is over. How do you feel now? And you end up with this completely different emotional range that they're going through at that point.
Do they find it anticlimactic at all? I know that defending a dissertation was very anticlimactic.
I think it's pretty similar. I think it's pretty similar.
You just throw yourself into something for so long.
Right, and with an art exhibition like that, you're really exposing yourself too. And it's such a strange situation to be in.
One of the things I've always been interested about where the experience of an artist is concerned is, do you feel emotionally attached to your art? Is it difficult to either give it away or to sell it? I mean, this is the aim of many people who go into the arts, be able to sell their work.
I think it is for a lot of people, especially younger artists. But the reality is artists need to make a living just like anyone else does.
Yes.
And, not all visual artists are making a product to sell.
Right.
So there's a wide range of people in there in different activities. It is difficult at times to give up a particular piece of work. I always try to tell myself, if I get that attached to one artwork, I probably don't need to go there again.
Right. Because I know I don't make art at all, but I imagine every piece is emotional in some way or another. It comes from something inside.
It does. It comes from deep inside of us. So
and severing the connection to that, I would imagine, is that something that you talk to your art students about, like the experience of like letting go of the artwork, or is there any like pragmatic, like here's how to be an artist in real life?
Well, we can always talk about those pragmatic things, but because so much of what we do is on an emotional level,
yes,
it doesn't, that message doesn't always get through.
No.
And oftentimes we do end up in conversations with students about, those kind of emotional issues. There's a lot more to teaching in the arts, just like it is in many other disciplines. There's a lot more that goes on than what happens in the classroom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of a life experience.
It is a life experience. It is a life experience.
So in terms of what the Mary B. Martin School of the Arts is doing now, and I know that we just talked about the exhibit, the positive negative exhibit, is that what you called it?
That's
the
Slocum Galleries, right.
What else is going on that we should know about?
Well, every year we bring in the Southern Circuit Tour of Independent Filmmakers.
Yes.
So we bring in 6 independent films every year.
And these are full-length films?
They're feature-length films.
Feature-length, yes.
And the filmmaker comes with the film. So we get to learn about, why they made the film, how they made the film. We get to hear some of the behind-the-scenes things that happen. And then when we can, we have the filmmaker go into a classroom or work with a group of students in another way. So it's kind of a really interesting project. And the Southern Circuit Tour is a project from South Arts, which is a regional arts organization. And it's funded by the NEA and the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. So
that's a lot of big, important art-related organizations being involved in all of that.
Right. And one of the reasons why we like Southern Circuit so much is, one, the filmmakers come with it.
Right.
But two, the films are well vetted. So there's a lot of review that comes on before we select the actual films. So there are so many filmmakers out there that, with a project on this scale, we really have to do a lot of review.
Very picky about what you bring.
Yes.
So and that happens in?
It happens 6 months out of the year. So we have a film September, October, November, and then February, March, and April. Yeah.
And so we have
2 more films coming this semester.
What are they going to be?
One is called We Still Live Here, and it's about the Wampanoag people. Do you know who the Wampanoag are?
I have never heard of the Wampanoag.
Yes, you have.
No.
You just didn't know the name.
Okay.
They're the Native Americans who met with the Pilgrims. Believe it or not, most of us have never heard that history. We know who the Pilgrims are. Right. We know what Thanksgiving is, but we don't know who the Wampanoag are.
That's sort of like one-sided portrayal of American history.
Right.
So we're going to the other side.
So we're going to learn a little bit about the other side. Now, the interesting thing is this film is about the Wampanoag's efforts to reclaim their language. Their last native...
Currently?
Yes. Their last native speaker died over 100 years ago. But their language was so well documented. The Wampanoag worked with missionaries. They actually have a Bible that was translated into Wampanoag.
Oh my
So they
goodness.
have all these archival documents, and they're learning their language again now. It's a project of a woman named Jessie Little Doe Baird. She is the
that
person.
That is fascinating.
I know. She's the linguist who really explored this area.
Yeah.
And the film is made by a woman named Anne Makepeace. So, this is another opportunity. The arts are reflecting some important things that are going on.
Because like holding on to history and culture, like an entire culture of a people.
Absolutely.
The arts are helping to do this.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's just
It's
good.
just amazing.
Good energy, good stuff. And that one is the March or the April film?
That'll be the March film. So it's on March 12th, the day after spring break. Then in April, we have a film coming in that's called Shakanaga. And Shakanaga is a drama. It's not a documentary film, so it's narrative. And the story is about a crematorium in North Georgia.
Oh.
It's based on a true story, but this movie isn't
right.
This
real.
One's
Fiction.
Yeah, it's fiction. Thank you. But at this crematorium,
something terrible happened.
Something terrible happened. Yes, that unfortunately the bodies were not cremated.
Burned.
Yeah.
I think I heard about this in the news not too terribly long ago.
Yes, it wasn't all that long ago that this incident happened.
Oh
so,
my.
yeah.
So that'll be an interesting.
Yeah, so it's a little dark, but
But again, capturing the whole range of the human experience is
Absolutely.
what the arts are particularly good at. We are coming to the close of our interview. Is there anything else you want to tell us about what's going on with the Mary B. Martin School of the Arts, or what your particular hopes for what the school is going to do aside from things you've already talked about with us today?
We really want to provide our community with lots of positive, exciting, important experiences. And we're in planning for our next season, so we hope people will come out and enjoy what we do in the future.
What are you foreseeing for the upcoming season? Do you have anything
I've got a couple of things nailed down.
down?
We're bringing in a dance company that's called Philadanco. It's the Philadelphia Dance Company. Dance is really big for us to present, and that will be in September. In November, we have the Mr. Jack Daniels Original Silver Cornet Band.
Oh.
Will be coming. That's right.
This all sounds very, very exciting.
Yeah. In the spring semester, we have a guitarist named Frank Vignola coming. I think a lot of musicians in the area will recognize that name. It'll be pretty exciting. He's an amazing presence on stage, just absolutely phenomenal. We also have a concert with a violinist named Brian Lewis, and he'll be performing with one of our faculty members, Chi Long Hu.
Yes.
And many people
Who
really
performs
enjoy.
A lot. Yes.
Yeah, he's an amazing pianist, so we're really fortunate to have these things planned.
Oh, that's exciting. And so how does a person on campus or in the community get specific details about what the events are and where to find them? And is there generally an admission fee for these things?
There are admission fees to some things. Other things we don't have an admission fee. It depends upon the event. But you can find us right on the ETSU homepage. If you go to the ETSU homepage and look down at the bottom, it says Arts at ETSU. Click on that and it'll go directly to my website, which is www.etsu.edu/CAS for College of Arts and Sciences /arts.
That seems simple enough.
Yeah, we're on Facebook.
You're on Facebook?
Yep.
Excellent. And do you have a calendar of your events? Do you post your events on Facebook?
Our calendar of events show up on our Facebook page and our web page.
Excellent. So, this all sounds very exciting. I'm so excited. And, again, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about the arts, but I am just positively excited and jacked up for this. So in the last, 45 seconds that we have left, as an artist, being an artist your whole life, what can one little piece of advice you would give me as a social scientist about how to enjoy my life from a perspective of an artist? Go ahead. You have to give me advice
Think out of the box.
Think out of the box, she says. I like
think
boxes.
Out of the box.
Things fits inside.
We've all got to get out of the box once in a while.
How do you know if you're doing that productively?
Well, there is a risk there, but it's worth it. It's definitely worth it.
Well, I will bear that in mind. Thank you so much for joining us, Anita. This has been a terrific pleasure, and I'm so excited. We've been speaking today with Anita DeAngelis, the director of the Mary B. Martin School of the Arts. Join us next time on Spotlight ETSU.